Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Boks, your dedicated Springbok channel bringing you all the latest news, debate, press conference, training footage, and so much more about the World Champions. Today is a Wednesday, which means we are doing the Rassie Report, basically a segment where we look at kind of the current conundrums and debates and challenges that lie ahead for Rassie Erasmus. This year, the big thing is players in terms of players to bring in, players to maybe leave out. What does the squad start to look like as we start to build to the 2027 Rugby World Cup? And last year, we obviously had a very nice step forward where we had players making debuts. We used a very large amount of players, for example, and we start to sort of see exactly where the squad is and where the squad is going. This year, we're going to continue that process. And today, I want to look at overseas potential Boks and players who are currently based overseas, performing well for their franchise, clubs, unions, depending on the structure, whatever. And to be fair, actually, the five players we're looking at, four of them currently playing in the Premiership, one of them in the URC. One of them has actually been involved in a Bok camp. A lot of these players have played junior Boks, for example. Some of them even potentially qualifying for other nations such as England. And basically looking at players who, I'm not saying they're going to get a debut, but players who could be added to a Boks squad where they could add value, where they'd be a decent pick for Rassie Erasmus and his coaching staff. So before we do that, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Let's start with number one, which is Mes Fundura, who currently plays for the Scarlets. He was called into the Bok alignment camps whilst playing for the Cheetahs. He secured a move over to the Scarlets. Very abrasive ball carrier, nice and physical, very technically sound, and will be a very nice option. We've definitely looked to try and build our depth at hooker in the last year. Obviously, during the 2023 Rugby World Cup, we really had to sort of make do in terms of having Dion Free playing, having Mark Verstappen have to fill in there. And last year, we could see that they very much identified hooker as a position that needs attention. Bringing in Andre Hugo Venter, Jan Kobelaar, Jan Hendrik Wessels, we've definitely been adding to our hooker stocks, but I do think that Mes Fundura would be a nice addition as well. He is clearly rated by Rassie Erasmus, given the fact he's been part of a Boks squad already. The next name is no stranger to South African fans. That is Juarno Augustus. Probably a player we all thought would be a Springbok by this time after we watched him, destroy opponents in the junior setup. Such a big, large, physically imposing lad, and I think would add a lot of value. So he is currently playing for Northampton. He's got a deal lined up for Ulster for next season. So there was talk originally when he went over that he was going to potentially come back to the Stormers after he left. Not the case anymore. But Troki, as he's known, would add to our number 8 stocks because we've obviously got Albert Lowe, who's just got a very bad knee injury. Looks like he could be out for months, to be honest, with a potential broken leg or the knee. Jasper Wiese currently the incumbent. You've got Evan Lewis, for example. You've got Kwaka Smith as an option. Cameron Hanekom as an option, although I think Cameron Hanekom will settle in at 6 long term. Such a good player with over the ball. But I think Juarno Augustus would add a lot to the Boks. He fits the profile very nicely. Brings a lot of physicality with him as well. If we then look at backline players, Tyron Green is a player that a lot of people have wanted to see back in this country and playing for the Boks for quite a while, if we're going to be brutally honest. I think that he is someone who, if he'd stayed in South Africa and continued playing for the Lions, I think that he would have been probably a Bok already. We've seen what we saw with Quan Horn last year getting the opportunity. I think that could have potentially been, Tyron Green had he decided to stay. Very similar players, actually. Not the biggest sort of, from a physical point of view. Very good skill set, deceptively fast. Quan Horn's got that really useful boot. But Tyron Green, he's a ferocious type player. He works hard through the tackle. He's very good in defense, and he's winning man of the match awards for fun over in the Premiership as well as in the Champions Cup. So I think that he's someone who would add so much to the Boks. I'd love to have seen him last year already, but moving forward, I definitely think that he's someone who should be on the radar and I think would be very worthy of a call-up. Especially given the fact that he asked Rassie Erasmus before he went over, would going over affect his chance? And was basically told, no, you can still get selected. Hasn't quite happened for him just yet, though. Another backline player is Bernard Jansen van Rensburg, who's currently tearing up the Premiership, and he's been on the radar potentially for England as well. And when he comes to England qualified, But given the fact that our centres at the moment, we've had a very consistent sort of centres in your fall, Damon Delende, Jesse Kriel, Lekanya, and then Andre Esterhazen. Long term, Ethan Hooker, for example, has been involved. Henk van Beek's very highly rated. But I do think that Bernard Janssen from Rensburg, just the way he's playing in the Premiership, would add value to any team he gets called up for. And that mullet, for example, we deserve to see that mullet in a Springbok jersey. An absolute sensational haircut that he does have on him. So, yeah, I mean, whether he's sort of better than our centers, I don't think so. But if a couple get injuries and stuff like that, we could do a lot worse than bringing him in. And if not, I think we might see him playing in an England shirt in the next few years. The last one's a little bit more off the radar and maybe not very likely to play, but just something I really enjoy and I think would be a player who wouldn't let the Boks down. And that is the 27-year-old Ernst Rain, who left the Stormers for Sale Sharks. He's been brilliant over there. And I think one of the big things that make him a really attractive option is his versatility. Can play in the number 5 jersey, can play in the number 7 jersey, captain the Stormers, so he's got that leadership quality. I just don't think he'd let us down. I think he's a player who plays with his heart on the sleeve, very physical, and we saw his physicality when he came and played against the Stormers towards the end of last year. I don't know, even this year, it's been a long January. But in that Champions Cup match, and I do think, again, if he had stayed in South Africa, he'd probably be a bit more rated, although he was pretty underrated himself when he was in South Africa. In fact, people were quite surprised at the move over to Sale Sharks, and then you looked at what he did, and suddenly people started to realize the kind of player he is. So, yeah, those are sort of the 5 players I've identified. What do you think? Which players would you like to see involved? Which players would you like to... Other players potentially would you like to get involved? Do you think any of these players might make their debuts or get call-ups this year? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll see you guys all next time.